All right. So, what are our sources of contract law? We've got pretty much two sources of contract law. So, everything we're learning here comes from two places, whereas everything we learned with tax comes from the IRC, the Internal Revenue Code. Here, everything we're going to see in this lesson comes from common law, which we'll talk about what that is, and then the Uniform Commercial Code. Contract law governs the formation, performance, and enforcement of agreements between parties. The two sources, we'll start with common law, and these are important. I know it's a little history lesson, but that kind of comes with the nature of the topic. What is common law? And this is going to dictate how most types of contracts are going to play out. It's a legal system that was based on the accumulation of judicial decisions, customs, and practices over time. So if you know anything about law, if there's a decision made, that decision stands. And even if another judge disagrees, well, if the decision was made by a judge with a higher authority than that judge, that is the decision and there's no changing it. That's kind of how the court system works, generally speaking. It originated in England, so way back, all the way back, Magna Carta times, was brought to the US by the early colonists. Under the common law system, courts follow the precedents set by earlier judicial decisions, known as stare decisis, to ensure consistency and predictability in legal matters. Common law is the primary source of contract law for most types of contracts, such as service agreements, real estate transactions, and employment contracts. So where does this come into play? So if you're suing someone because they broke the window in your house, that had to have happened at some point for the first time. So we're going to look back. The judge will look back. When was there a dictate that happened based on that situation? And the judge will reference that. Odds are, if you enter into the court system with some sort of issue, you are not the first person to encounter that. Now, maybe you are. Maybe you're on some cutting edge technology, and this is the first time the courts are ever dealing with it. Then you are setting the standard for that. There are a lot of different important court cases throughout the history of the US, and then obviously throughout England as well, when that was part of it. But now we're dealing with US law, when these important decisions were made. And not to get into history too much, but I'm sure throughout your schooling, you've experienced a lot of those important court cases, and they continue to happen as the years go on. Next up, we have the Uniform Commercial Code. The UCC, I'll just keep calling it the UCC, it's a comprehensive set of statutes designed to harmonize and simplify the law of commercial transactions in the US. So overall, when in doubt, use the common law. So when in doubt, the common law generally is covering most topics we'll see. But this is dealing with commercial transactions, and we'll see that it deals with the sale of goods, tangible and movable personal property. Whereas if you've got, let's say, a service-based contract doing accounting work for someone, that's probably going to follow the common law rules. So here, a comprehensive set of statutes designed to harmonize and simplify the law of commercial transactions in the US. It was created by the National Conference of Commissioners on Uniform State Laws and the American Law Institute in the 50s to address the growing complexity and diversity of commercial law among the states. It has been adopted with some variations by all 50 states, DC, and the US territories. Think of it as the modern set for all of the business that exploded after World War II. These sets of rules are going to dictate, like I said, sales of goods, tangible and movable personal property. Gotta love that manufacturing-based economy, even though kind of more of a service-based economy, but we've got a lot of products moving around throughout all the 50 states. Article 2 of the UCC governs these contracts, providing rules on various aspects of sales transactions, such as contract formation, performance, breach, and revenues. The UCC offers more flexibility and a less formal approach to contract law compared to common law, making it more suitable for fast-paced commercial transactions. Again, another example, if you're dealing with common law, let's say you're playing volleyball and you hit a volleyball across and you hit someone in the face and they sue you. That's happened before. So there is some sort of dictation that had happened. Some judge made a decision, and as such, the judge here is going to follow that same ruling. Whereas the Uniform Commercial Code, this is supposed to be more so for fast-paced business transactions, trying to make sure the American economy is moving at a solid pace. The first step with a lot of these questions, decide which this falls under. Is it the Uniform Commercial Code or is it common law? All right, just a comparison between the two. Again, this is just good foundational knowledge as we will see these come up throughout questions. The origins, well, common law has its roots in the English legal system and has evolved over centuries, whereas the UCC is a more recent development created to unify and simplify commercial laws across the United States. The scope of these two different sources, well, common law generally governs contracts involving services, real estate, and employment, while the UCC primarily applies to contracts for the sale of goods. Next up, flexibility. The UCC is actually more flexible and adaptable to the needs of modern commercial transactions, our fast-paced modern world. It's less stringent on formalities, such as the requirement for a written contract, and allows for the incorporation of trade, customs, and practices into contracts. Also, remedies here. The UCC provides more specific remedies for breach of contract compared to common laws, such as the right to cover, which is buying substitute goods, and the right to demand specific performance, which is forcing the breaching party to perform their contractual obligations. We'll dive into those more later on. Next up, for interpretation, the UCC emphasizes the intention of the parties and the commercial reasonableness of their actions in interpreting contracts, while common law, on the other hand, often relies more heavily on the strict interpretation of the contract's terms. Now, in conclusion, both of these will play a vital role in governing contracts in the US, and that is our lesson for today, is contracts. Common law provides the foundation for most types of contracts, while the UCC specifically addresses contracts involving the sale of goods to ensure consistency and uniformity in those commercial transactions. Hey there! Are you ready to not only pass your CPA exams, but truly understand and enjoy the material while studying? I know it seems impossible, right? Especially to enjoy the material? We'll do it together. Tap into the power of CPA.examprep.ai, where we've got personalized quizzes, multiple choice questions, memorization guides, flashcards, simulations, all tailored to your learning. Our adaptive study planning puts you on the fastest path to success and lifts you back up if you fall behind. Avoid wasting your precious time and money attempting an exam with a low chance of passing, because who wants that? We want to get you through this process as quick as possible. Our exam readiness prediction lets you walk in with confidence, knowing that you're prepared for success on exam day. Thankfully, there's no payment method needed to get started, so why don't you come join us? Visit cpa.examprep.ai and let's achieve your exam success together.